I'd like to call this meeting of the, excuse me. Thanks to Susan. She's going to make sure I had a gavel tonight. Call the RTM Parks and Rec Committee regular meeting to order on, this is Tuesday, December 5th, 7:30 p.m. in the Darien Down Hall Auditorium. I'm going to call the roll just because we got a lot of new folks and familiar faces. So, Sarah Baldwin.
Here.
Patty Baumgartner.
Here.
Diane Conalog.
Here.
Cheryl Russell.
Here.
Penny Wilson.
Here.
Carrie Cardone.
Here.
Adele. Sue Ellen Mitchell.
Here.
Kim Kiner.
Here.
Andy Millar.
Here.
Sandy Savage. Tony Lorino. Alyssa Mahoney.
She can't make it. She just got in from out of town.
Yeah, she emailed me this afternoon. Susan Marks.
Here.
Mary.
Here.
Bless her.
Here.
Bill.
Here. Here.
And David York.
No.
Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, which constitutes a quorum. Okay. All right. I'd like to welcome Monica McNally, who's come to give us an overview of the Great Island cul-de-sac that we'll be voting on Monday at the RTM meeting. And we can ask some questions, maybe yes, maybe no. She'll let us know what we can ask. There we go. I'll turn it over to Monica. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Oh, absolutely. And so, you know what, everybody? So I have found that when people are asking about this, a lot of the questions are really because they don't understand. You know, you've been on the island. Hopefully, you've all had the opportunity to do a tour. But when we use certain terms, you might not really understand where we are visually. So I thought this would help. So this is what the town purchased. Okay, this is what we call 23A, and this is the cul-de-sac. We did not purchase this, and this is a road going into Great Island. This parcel here is owned by the Zieglers. Okay. This is deeded open space, and this is deeded open space, this parcel here. And and this causeway goes over the deeded open space B. This is B, this is A. So what the town is looking to do on Monday with your authorization is to do a couple of things. One is to actually purchase this cul-de-sac, this circle. Right now, we have an easement over it. We're looking to purchase this. And we're also looking to change the wording a little bit on this easement here for the causeway. This road, this causeway, and I don't know if you remember the presentation, but in the presentation I gave up here, there was a pretty road in the beginning of the presentation. That's the causeway, that kind of stone road. So it's a little bit confusing. We've been working with two other parties to consummate this deal. One party is the Ziegler family. And when you drive up Long, this is a little bit easier because it's colored. When you drive up on Long Neck, or you come down Rings End, you probably remember that the metal fence, right? Okay. So that metal fence goes all along the Ziegler property here. The town did not buy that. Some people think that this purchase that we did included that. It didn't. As you can see here, the blue line is what the town paid $85 million for. So what we're looking to do now is buy this circle and grant an easement to the owners that will be buying this parcel. The Zieglers are selling the town this circle, and they're selling the remainder of this property to LNPR, to a corporation called LNPR.
This is for the whole Ziegler area or
Yes.
just one parcel?
No, it's for the whole Ziegler parcel.
Okay.
But it's a little bit confusing because there's another group involved, and that's the Great Island Property Owners Association. And that property owners association actually owns the deeded open space, those two parcels that I mentioned before. It's the same map, just this one's in color. So, the Great Island Properties Owners Association will continue to own the deeded open space. We have an easement over this property. This deeded open space cannot be developed. We have an easement over the pavement on this property.
We already have it.
Yes, and we tightened up the wording a little bit on it. We also are purchasing this circle from the Zieglers, and we're granting them an easement over that. There are two private roads on this property. There's the Great Island Road here, and there's, used to be called Coons Point Road, it's now called Ziggy's Way over here. Over here, can't remember if you can see that. Yeah, this is a better one. Okay. So what will we end up with at the end? We'll end up owning this circle, so we will own this. Just imagine the circle is now blue, okay? We already own this road here, 23A. We will own the circle, and we will own the entrance into, and then all of Great Island. We will have an easement over this, and we will be granting an easement over this to the buyers, and we will have an emergency access easement over this road and also over this road.
Mm-hmm.
This blue here, everything that's in blue the town owns. So I don't know if you remember, but when you were on the island over by the boathouse, when you were leaving that way, you might have seen this spit of land. We own that spit of land, and it connects to what's called Ziggy's Way now. And we have an emergency access easement over that. That's all we're going to do is use this road and this road in an emergency. These are private roads, and residents are not allowed now and won't be allowed in the future to use private roads. They're private.
Monica, I'm sorry. Are those the ones that were kind of roped off?
Yeah.
That's why you say that they're not,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we did two appraisals on this circle, and the average was $562,000. So we're buying this from the Zieglers, but we're paying them $10. That $562 is incorporated in the $792,010. That's the full amount that we are paying. You're not voting on that on Monday, but that is what this is actually going to cost us. $10 is a payment to the Zieglers. This is just the way that they requested that we do this transaction. So the total transaction's costing us $792 and $792,010. Okay? Okay.
Why are there two payments?
It's just the way they wanted it.
But they're both going to the Ziegler?
No.
No.
That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah. We're writing one check for $10 to the Zieglers, and we're writing a $792,000 check to LNPR. And that includes the value of this, plus some attorney fees that we have, easement language that we had to change, and screening. So when you drive on this road coming in and you come to this circle, you might be talking about this, there's some do not enter signs. Well, those will be replaced and this will be closed off. So it will have emergency access, but there'll be a gate there.
So the residents that are going to be in this William Ziegler area with that road have no access into our area except if they go through the main entrance at Rings End
Correct.
Bridge.
There's a gate. They will be able to access. There's a gate. But will they prefer to use that? That remains. But they have an easement over this. So and there will be a gate. We cannot use their road, but they can use our road.
In both locations?
Well, no, you wouldn't. They wouldn't come onto here.
Oh, I didn't think it was big enough.
No, it's not really even. It's for emergency vehicles only.
In other words, if somebody has a house on this area this
Over
developer is buying,
Uh-huh.
they can just go on the road and come to the circle and drive into the,
Yes, and these lots here also have an easement on this road.
to the road.
But there are no house, there's a house here, but this house here already has a driveway on it.
Right. Now, the lots there, is that going to be their main access? This road, that road is the,
This property uses these two, actually
Right.
uses this road.
well, at the entrance, you're talking about there's...
Up here?
Yes, right where your finger is. And going along our road into the Great Island, there are 3 lots
Right,
on that. Each lot has access to our road, is that what?
correct. They have an easement onto it, yes. But it's also a public road. I mean, it's
And
public.
the reason I was asking, I was wondering, at what point are we going to be trying to control traffic going into it? Like at Weed Beach, there's a gatehouse, or Pear Tree, there's a gatehouse. Somewhere, I
Right.
presume, you'll have a
Right.
gatehouse in the future, maybe.
Right, and that's a great point. So that's why you wouldn't put a gatehouse here.
Okay,
Because,
I understand.
okay?
Okay.
Kim?
I'm wondering, if we didn't buy this circle, what access do we have? Are we just buying the circle so we can have the emergency road access?
No, we're buying the circle. We have access over it now. We have an easement over it.
So what is the benefit of buying
The
it?
benefit of buying it is that we will have unfettered access. So there's some debate whether this is for public or for strictly private. And purchasing this circle removes any of those questions.
Meaning
In rela-
public
we
access
have-
to to the rest of the island?
Yes,
Or
No.
we have clear, unfettered access forever because we will now own that.
So that language that the no public allowed
Right,
doesn't exist anymore because of this.
exactly.
Let me just get this straight. Who owns this circle now?
The Zieglers.
Okay,
But it's a little confusing because the Zieglers are selling all of this property except the circle to LNPR. Has anyone had a chance, I think it's 88 pages, this PSA is pretty long. Has anyone had a chance to go over it?
I went through it, but I still got very confused.
Yeah, that's
So, I understand this is very confusing. Okay, so the Zieglers own the circle. However, we're giving $792,000 to
NPR.
LNPR. Why, when the Zieglers own the property?
You know what, Cheryl, it is the way they wanted to structure the deal for tax purposes and their own private reasons. And the
Okay.
bottom line is that the number doesn't change. It doesn't really matter who we're writing the check to. And this was a strenuously negotiated deal that I personally,
I'm sure it was. So, okay, so the Zieglers are selling the rest of the Long Neck Point property, let's say, to LNPH.
PR, but
Okay, is it LNPH or CMPH?
Doesn't
Whatever, PR. And then they're gonna own the circle, and then we're gonna basically
No.
own the
No.
circle after them.
no, it's a simultaneous deal, and that's why it is confusing. So imagine they're selling, the Zieglers are selling everything
Right,
except the circle
oh, okay,
to the buyer. The town is buying the circle.
circle, okay.
But why are they selling everything but the circle? I don't even understand. what-
They don't need
what
the
purposes
circle
of the
really,
circle.
but we do.
Because we need to,
But we already have access.
we have
But not-
access, but
it's
now we have
different
clear
type of
full
ownership.
control. Yes, now we have full control.
This means there's
We
nobody
own
else.
it instead of having an easement.
Into perpetuity so that no
Yes.
one can take it away.
Exactly.
If they didn't sell us that, what would our restrictions be? I guess that's
Well,
my
we would
question.
still have access to it, but would we continue to want to own it? Yes. And would we need to take another look at how to pursue that, maybe eminent domain? Yes, we would. That is a very expensive and lengthy process, and this is a much better solution.
No, I'm just wondering, maybe I'm being a little thick here.
No, these are all good
And I
questions.
apologize for repeating my question, maybe I'm not asking it correctly. What I'm not understanding is why that circle is so important to own, because we already have access through it.
Kim,
through an
think about it
easement.
like this. You have a house, you have a shared driveway. Would you like to own the driveway, or would you like to share it? You want to own it. We want to own it.
But it's the other people that need access through that will always have access anyway, so what is the benefit of us owning it? Somebody else own it and shut off our access, is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yeah.
So we could,
Sue us and
LNPR or whoever owns the circle, if we don't buy it, could one day say, we own the circle and you have to, and we're not gonna let you, there's no more easement anymore, or is our easement grandfathered?
An easement's for a specific time,
Yes.
if stated, or it's in perpetuity.
Yes, this is a much clearer way for us to control what happens on Great Island. And that's why
And
we
the
want-
traffic flow that
We want to own a continuous way into it without having an easement over another parcel.
Was, when we first bought the property and the Rings End Road to the circle, was there anything in that language that said you had to provide access for the Ziegler properties, those 3 lots, to have access to it?
Yes,
Oh, there was, okay.
that's
fine.
not, that language hasn't changed.
Okay, thank you.
Is LNPR a developer?
You know, that's, you know, you've heard about the NDA, so that's what I can share with you.
How many lots are in that property?
There, this is 22, this is 23, and this is 23A. Originally, the subdivision had 23 lots, and including our little lot. And this is the, this is on the, where am I here? Oh, these are the other lots up here. So, I'm sorry, this is the rest of the Property Owners Association. So, are there, now I believe there are 19 lots on there. So when they subdivided it, that's how the deeded open space evolved.
Is it envisioned that there'll be more lots?
No, they've already subdivided this.
What's going to happen to the barn?
I don't control over that.
We're not,
Okay, we're gonna stick with what's in front of you. Okay?
Does
We're not
anybody,
gonna get Monica in trouble. We're gonna just,
Building the house.
like I said, we're gonna stick with what's in front of you.
good, it's a good try, Andy, a really good try.
We are all dying to know.
Does anybody else have any more questions for Monica?
I just have a question about the circle itself. If we own it, will that be, then we would have the ability to change it, to widen it, to create something new with it, so that it could accommodate traffic flow in a different way?
The traffic circle is the right size.
Oh,
For
okay.
the flow of traffic that we need. It's actually that road, this road, that is too narrow. That's 16 feet wide with 2 cobblestone parcels on each side. So if you've been there, you know, if you did the bus tour, whatever, I was concerned about 2 buses. I was very concerned about 2 buses having to pass at one time because you can't do that. So that's where the kind of the whatever,
What
clog
needs
or
to
whatever,
change.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what needs to change.
Okay, but with the circle will stay.
Yes.
Monica, this is probably a very simple question, but when you say emergency access, you mean emergency vehicles are
Correct.
allowed, not, if someone is having an emergency, they still are not able to go on there. It's
Right.
strictly fire, police, and
Exactly.
and medical. Okay,
Exactly.
just so it's clear.
Yes, so we have an emergency access here, and we're granting them an easement over the circle, and we're also granting them a utility easement, because there's some utilities that run over here. But on the town's part, and this is actually beneficial for us, is that we had this emergency access here, and now we will have emergency access here, and then obviously here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is a better situation for the town. Anyone else? Kim, you good?
You know, I think I understand as much as I'm going to.
Okay. Well, you know what? You all know where I live. Now, you can call me, you can call John, you can reach out to us if you have any questions. This is, in my opinion, this is an excellent outcome for the town on this particular project, and this will conclude what we are trying to do there in this particular phase. So I hope that you will support this on Monday. And if you have any questions between now and then, I hope you will reach out to me. And I also want to let you know that F&B, your RTM F&B, will be discussing this tomorrow night. You might want to tune in. And Planning and Zoning will be discussing this on Thursday. Again, they're going to have, I'm sure, a lot of the same questions. And it's, you know, it's a lengthy document, and it's definitely, you know, we're looking at 3 parties, a simultaneous transaction. It's definitely a lot of moving parts. So, you know, if it takes you a little bit to kind of get your arms around it, you know, you'll have opportunities in the next couple of days. And you can, like I said, you can always reach out to me.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming. It surely made a difference. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so we'll move on to the rest of the meeting, which is approval of the minutes is next on the agenda. We have minutes from our meeting in October, on October the 11th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 11th?
So moved.
Second. Cheryl moved. Diane seconded. Any corrections or additions? Okay, may I have a, right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's unanimous. The minutes of 11-1, which were done by F&B, which is wonderful. Thank you, Jenny Schwartz. Appreciate it. We have a motion to approve the minutes from November 1st.
I'll make the motion.
Patty moved. Second?
Second.
Second, Kim. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. You can see, I'm moving on to this chairman's report, but you can see why I thought it would be a really good idea for Monica to come and give us an overview, because she knows what she can talk about and what she can't. And boys, it is convoluted, isn't it? You know, wading your way through that document was interesting, even though some of it was repetitive, isn't it? You know.
Can I ask sounds like you all know the answer to this, so I'll ask it one more time just for clarity for myself. If we didn't buy the circle, or as it currently stands before the purchase of the circle, what are our restrictions to the property that we bought? We have an easement, and is that not indefinite? Is that what I was hearing?
No, I think the easement's definite. Go ahead, Bill. You probably.
I know.
Bill's the property guy.
No, but as Monica said, we had an easement through the circle to the road that goes by the stables.
Right.
The road that goes down to the boathouse area in the water, I don't think we had an agreement on that, and that's what the Great Island Properties Association has control over. And that,
I think we did, but I think
We
this
have it,
is some of the language changed, yes.
as I said, there was a part where it says no public allowed
That's the
area.
Right now.
In the agreement the Great Island people had, the Great Island Association had, and I believe that is being removed, and, no?
I don't think so. That wasn't the way I read it. It's just that I think
Okay.
the language was changed and it was tightened up for that part of it. The
So we
changes.
weren't, the public would not have been allowed on that road that went by the boathouse under the current deal?
I think you're allowed, yes.
So
With
then
the deal
what
This
would we,
is- the
what would
public-
we not be allowed to do if we didn't buy the circle? That's my question. That was my only question.
I think it's just, I mean, I would think it's just clean. I mean, there is,
As opposed to what?
going down the future, who knows?
And what
So
could
I
the
think, that- I
future?
It's
think you're
like your home,
protecting.
you own your home
It's like somebody
outright.
says, I don't want you to do that, what you're doing on Great Island, I don't want you to do that. And you can't go across my circle, because I don't want you to do, I don't want
Well,
you to.
that's what I'm saying, so the easement is not indefinite.
We don't know.
We're doing away with an
Yeah, it is
easement by.
Right, right.
That
But I would have
Easement,
thought
easement.
Us to
for
use,
$85 million, we would have had an indefinite access
we
to the
didn't.
island that
We
we
didn't.
It wasn't,
No.
it wasn't, I think it was indefinite, that wasn't the problem.
Well,
Why
you know what?
wouldn't you? I guess-
Forget it. I'll ask
let's-
somebody.
But Kim,
and
let's
it-
reverse it. I understand that it's confusing, but what's the downside to us owning it? Yeah, why wouldn't we?
$792,000. I mean, that's really all my question is about, is why do we need to invest that kind of money?
We already
Because you
invested
don't
how
wanna
much
have
money into
an
Great
easement
Island.
right, you wanna
So it's
have an
literally a
ownership
drop in the
right.
bucket compared to what we spent to own Great Island.
Well, no, I understand that, but when you
It allows
still
you to
look at
do,
it,
to do everything you.
I just don't know what we are restricted from now, or could be restricted in the
That's just
future.
it, it's what could we be?
Yeah.
So you willing to take that risk?
Well, and maybe that's hidden in the language of the contract that, in the fine print that says you can't, sometime in the future, you may not be able to do this unless you own access. But that's, it is what it is. My opinion is not going to change anything. I just would like some more clarity on
I
what the
thought,
upside is of spending this money, because I still don't understand what the upside is.
Okay, we can talk.
I thought if you had a easement in your, let's say you buy a house and there's an easement going through your property for some such nonsense. And that's in your deed. So this would have been in the deed of owning this Great Island property. And this just came to me, so I should have asked Monica. So if we had it in the deed that said we have an easement through the circle, over, around, or whatever, then wouldn't that have taken us into perpetuity?
This is my question.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
think,
not that it's,
you know,
the
I understand what
perpetuity
you're
is not
saying,
the
and I'm
problem. The
confused too.
perpetuity is not the problem.
Actually,
But,
maybe I can help. According to fine law, a property easement is a property right that gives its holder an interest in land that's owned by someone else. I think we all understand that. It allows the holder to use the land for a specific purpose, such as accessing a utility pole or a road. The landowner retains the title to the land, but cannot interfere with the holder's use of the easement. But here comes the rub. Easements can create legal problems in their creation, interpretation, and implementation.
There you go.
And I think it's those three things that the town is,
And that's
worried
exactly
about.
what Monica said.
yeah, just not in that clearly.
I think so. Okay.
So the
Let's
language
not
also-
talk anymore, because I know we're going to stray into things we're not supposed to say, so we'll move on. So that was my fault for bringing it back up again.
Can you just repeat the last three? Easements can create legal problems so this is why we're qualifying and buying it. The last three words
An
that you said.
interpretation.
Creation,
Interpretation.
interpretation, and implementation.
What was the first word?
Creation.
Creation
Thank you.
is how you write it.
Thank you.
Got that part, because
Thank you.
sure it's complicated.
That's the nut,
That is, yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so, Chairman's report, just sort of, probably, not everybody has been on this committee forever, so just give a few reminders about kind of how we work, that our primary responsibility is to be liaison with the Parks and Recreation Department and Commission, and primarily we follow their budget. We try to attend their meetings, that's the commission. So, but this is kind of the way it works. Could you please bring your questions, comments, and concerns to me, sort of funnel things through me. I'll pass them along to either Pam Gary, or who's the Park and Rec Department Director, or Lori Bora, the Park and Rec Commission Chairman, or both. And this keeps the staff from being bombarded by 17 people. So the idea is to not, well, waste is not the right word, but if they're spending all their time answering our questions, then they're not spending their time doing what they're being paid to do. So that's the idea. The protocol for commission meetings, some of this was established by Lori Bora last summer, is to, well, first of all, I'd like to encourage everybody to either come or watch the commission meetings, because you'll understand about Park and Rec better that way and be more involved. And sometimes at the commission meetings, our committee, or whoever the chairman is, will report on a subject, for example, the budget, that our committee wants to emphasize. Also, sometimes the commission will entertain a question from the chairman or the designated representative of the committee at the end of a commission's discussion. Otherwise, any individual may speak on their own behalf, for themselves under public comment. I think I saw today, and I didn't realize it, that the commission's going to have a special meeting on Wednesday evening, and so I'll send you out the agenda tomorrow. Usually they copy me. They didn't copy me on this. And the last bit on
Send Zoom also.
yeah, it's remote. It's not in person. So, project updates. I noticed last week the Pear Tree Bathhouse, I think the renovation had started because they had ripped the doors off of the bathrooms and were working on the entryways. So that was in this year's capital budget, $50,000 to renovate those bathrooms at Pear Tree. So I think it's begun. The Weed Beach Meadow and Trail project was at P&Z on November 28th, and they seem to receive positive response, and P&Z will probably vote at their next meeting on the project. Then will come the question of funding. New paddle tennis court construction, they received their permits. I'm not sure if they started yet. I haven't been down to Weed. I don't know if anybody else has. Anybody looked? And the McGuan playing fields reconstruction bids came in high, so that work's been delayed. They had thought they were going to do that over the winter and get it ready for next spring, but I don't think that's going to happen. So it's in process. I'm working on that. 6 of us went on the parks tour on November 11th, which was great. I think we enjoyed it. We learned a lot. We saw a lot of the projects that we fought for funding, and that some that were completed. And then we looked, and there were things that were identified that we hope that will be, in this year's budget and will be funded. So it was really worthwhile, and we had. They gave us surveys to fill out online, which sort of ranked, talked about each park, and we had the opportunity to do that. So actually at the last commission meeting, they talked about the results from the surveys, but I'm sure.
What, that wasn't, just to be clear, that wasn't that survey.
That wasn't that survey?
That was their assessment survey that Parks and Rec did of like things that people would.
Oh, you're right. That was a different one. So we haven't gotten the feedback. That's
Yeah,
right.
I thought it was
Car didn't have it ready.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Remember when we weren't sure if they were going to actually vote on it at the last meeting?
Yeah.
Or the budget or not? 'Cause,
Yeah, they did,
But
yeah.
in a perfect world, they get the feedback from the
Yeah.
spending the 4.5 hours on the tour.
Well, in a perfect
Doing
world,
that. Right.
also the parks tour would have been earlier.
Yes, that's the main thing.
That's
Yeah,
really-
in the past, they've usually done it, so.
Yeah, they've usually done it earlier, and it's more informative that way. Thank you, because I had forgot that. I saw that thick stack of paper, and I just thought, I'm not going back through that now. So forgive me for getting that wrong. Okay, so they did vote, the commission did vote on the budget for next year at the last meeting. I think there were some things in there where they will update the numbers that are in there, but that's what they did. There still was in the operating budget of the new full-time administrator, and the invasive budget was increased from $15,000 to $45,000, and the beautification budget from $18,000 to $45,000. There are a couple of things added into capital. I wrote a few down that popped into my mind, but obviously Pam Gurry is going to come to our meeting on the 3rd, which is going to be virtual, and she'll walk us through all of this, in detail. So they added the backstop replacement at Holohan Field that we had seen on the Parks tour, that it's kind of is in bad shape. That's the field that's behind Town Hall. Yeah, over there, yeah. And they had talked about security cameras at Weed, and then they were thinking about Cherry Lawn as well. So I'm not really sure whether both went in or not, but that was what they were.
They did because of the graffiti and the other things.
Yeah,
that were occurring at
absolutely, there's a
Cherry Lawn.
reason for it, but
Yeah.
whether they, but anyway, I
That's the
think
main reason, because there's graffiti? Has that been
Well,
happening before?
vandalism, yeah,
There's
vandalism.
vandalism. There was a car that was broken into yesterday morning at Cherry Lawn too. So that's when we discussed it. Somebody brought it up. I forget who brought it up, and then they asked for feedback.
And
And
they
we
said,
said,
yes, do it at
encourage it
both
at Cherry Lawn
places,
as
yeah.
well. It's a
Yeah.
very active park. It's just, I mean, Susan knows there's a lot going on there. So it's, yeah.
So,
Well, what is going on at Weed, other than the kids hanging out that they've done for 150 years, but what else is
Any
going
more
on at Weed?
vandalism?
I think that's the worst of it.
In the bathhouse?
I don't think so, no, I think it was the parties on the beach.
Behind the sailing area? Yeah.
Oh, that, okay. I didn't know if there was more.
Nothing's coming to mind at the moment,
Okay.
but, yeah. Anyway, and, the pear tree project, the greater project, I think they were waiting for to replace the dollars for that in the budget with a probable cost estimate as it came in. I believe that was done. So, Pam will talk to us in January, and then I wanted to mention that at this point, Pam has sent in the budget to Kate Bush, who is reviewing and will revise the budget, and the selectmen will review Park and Rec on January 30th. The budget calendar's out, or
That's
it's
early.
published.
It's much earlier than usual.
January 30th?
Oh,
Well,
30th, I'm sorry. I thought you said
30th, yeah, no, I think they start the day before.
Yep.
The day before. It used to be that Kate gave a overview earlier, and she didn't do it last year, and I don't think didn't look like she was doing it this year. That's,
Did the commission vote on the budget?
yes, they did.
Oh, okay.
They voted in November. Normally, that's why we have this meeting, because they didn't vote until December usually.
Right.
Yeah, and so, but I think actually the town administrator wanted them to vote earlier. She wants everybody, in all the departments to vote earlier. And so that's what happened, so they did vote, so.
That's what makes it hard for us.
Yes, it
To have
does.
input in this, because we don't,
Bad timing.
it's terrible timing.
So that's why on that list of meeting dates for next year, I put one in for November as well. Because that's the only way, if they're going to vote in November.
But it's hard when we have new people come in on the
Absolutely.
committee. Every November, we could have a turnover, and this year we have 17. We have, 6 new members or whatever?
4.
And 4 new members, and now to bring them up to speed to understand how the budget works and what they can take out and how they can manipulate it to bonding this or taking this or moving it over here and everything that Kate does. I think it's difficult to just come in on one meeting and then it's a done deal.
Yeah, and it's to be more, and probably rules wouldn't even have met, but we would have to have a meeting before rules met. So it really would be the old committee,
Yeah,
or the old committee minus anybody that didn't run again to be reelected. So anyway, it's complicated, but
They
yeah,
always voted-
but it's the best we can do.
Have they always done the budget this time of year, like at the end of the year like this?
Yeah. Like we said, they usually,
It's an odd time
It
to
felt
do
like
it.
they normally were voting on the budget in December.
absolutely.
And so this was definitely.
So but they had, I remember hearing it last year, there was pressure, but they weren't ready to vote, so they didn't. But yeah, so the pressure is to get it done earlier.
it just makes it hard for us to
Yeah,
give
it's just very
informed
awkward.
decisions. I felt like we said that earlier, last time, that we helped to guide a lot of positive decisions for them. And help
And
to get in the
Richard-
aerator, help to get in, a number of other things. I think helped Pam to, encouraged her to include backup information on certain things that she was requesting in the capital budget. So, yeah, maybe we just really pushed for the tour earlier.
Yeah, I think it just
September.
worked out badly this
Yeah.
year, because folks weren't available.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing I did want to mention, is that there were 6 of us, which was great, but I sort of went, we were too short of having a quorum, and so I think we might need to warn it so that we don't get caught with,
Even though we
I
were
want the
invited
problem.
guests.
I love the problem, if we have a quorum there, that's terrific. More of us that go,
Well, you
the
want a
better.
quorum or you don't want a quorum?
Sure.
Want a quorum.
You want everybody, as many people to come as possible, but to be legal, if you have a quorum, you need to have warned it. So,
When you say warned,
warn the meeting like.
Announce it.
Announce it. You have
oh,
to.
announce that it's.
24
that we're
hours
gonna
ahead of
have
time,
it.
that you're going to have a meeting, you got to get it
So
posted,
Adele, even
all
though
of
we were
that.
kind of invited, even though we were invited guests,
I think by having yeah, I think so.
we should check with Frank.
Exactly. We should really double check,
Not
just to
Frank,
make
not
sure.
Frank, Kemp.
Kemp, yes.
Well, I guess in
Let's
theory,
wait
if we're all together,
Yeah.
we could be talking.
Yeah.
Right, like you could be having.
It could be,
side
we're having a
meeting,
meeting,
because we're all in the same
which is
space.
why, yeah,
It just protects us.
Yeah,
yes, it would be.
next year warning. Okay.
Exactly, forever.
I would definitely encourage everyone to go on this tour. I've done 2, and I learned such different things the second time. And quite frankly, I don't know that I would be as informed even in our regular meetings if I hadn't done that. I mean, I've been to all of our parks in the 30-some-odd years I've lived here, but never with this perspective. And if you're going to be on this committee, if you miss any meetings, don't miss that one next year if you can.
It is worth it.
Oh, warn. I didn't know that was called warning.
It's okay, that's all right.
Warning something new every time.
And I keep
So
talking.
legal
So we're gonna
reason.
move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the updates from our working groups and the committees. And just let me kind of explain a little bit for new people. The commission has some working groups that some of our members are a part of. They also have other working groups that we're not, but we tend to follow what they do. So whether we have people on the working group or whether we don't, we should be following that. And so we have people on the playground working group, we have people on the invasive working group, and then we are following and reporting on Monuments and Ceremonies Commission, which Diane has done that, the Advisory Commission, or at least did last year, Commission on Coastal Waters, Susan did, as well as Harbor Master. The Great Island Advisory Committee, I've been following that, I've been going to their meetings. I found that really, really interesting and helpful. The Beautification Commission, we haven't had a volunteer yet, we need one. 5 Mile River Commission, and then there's a new pickleball working group, which we don't have a member on, but we better have a member on. No, we're not, they've set it, they've set the group, so we should follow it, right? We should follow it, so that's.
When they
so
set
on
the group, does that mean nobody can go on it? Is
That's
that what you're saying?
correct.
Do we know who's on it? I'm just so curious.
I
But
don't,
they didn't invite anybody.
but Jim Farrell is the chairman. It's a small group, and
I mean, no
he,
interest.
yeah, he. Anyway,
Well, do they have to invite members of our committee
Yes.
to it? And they
These-
did not invite anybody to the pickleball one, is that what I'm
that's
hearing?
correct. That's correct.
I understand why. I understand why. I mean, it's such a controversial thing that they just probably don't, they want to minimize input, which is.
I think they've.
I mean, it's understandable. It's crazy.
I think they try to get a balanced group, but more than that, I don't know. I just know that it now exists, and we probably should pay attention. So, and we have a budget committee of our own that we need a subcommittee, and we need volunteers for that. Patty and I have done it, and Cheryl's joined us a couple of years. But I think the more people that do that, the better we can spread out the meetings. We can share. But it's just good to have other people's perspective. And then we liaise with F&B members that are assigned to Park and Rec, as well as the Board of Finance when we get to the Board of Finance. They have separate members that are assigned to each area. So that's what we do. So that takes me to the working group, up to the top of the list. And so, playground. Did you want to?
Don't look at me. Do not look at me.
That good, huh?
The one thing I left off with the last, this will set you up. The last commission meeting, the commission took a sense of the meeting for a playground at Cherry Lawn, for 2 playgrounds at Cherry Lawn. It was not a proper vote, so that's part of the reason why they have called their meeting on Wednesday. I think they will vote again. It will be a proper vote, not just a sense of the meeting. And take it away. Playground. So I just said that.
Playground at Cherry Lawn or the playground at?
This is Cherry Lawn's playground.
And who's new on this? Completely new. Are you new to RTM though, or no, you're just new to?
No, just new to this.
Oh, okay, so you're not,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so Patty's gonna do a much better job. But as anyone, I know there's so much to follow as Adele, just, you can kind of have to pick and choose your lane, what you're interested in town. But does anyone, you guys know about the ARPA money, right? Right, everyone knows about that and how it was allotted to certain things. So we got a certain amount for 3 different playgrounds. And right now, we've been working on Cherry Lawn. Alyssa's not
You
here.
finished McGuan.
We finished McGuan.
Finished
We
McGuan.
decided to
It
do
was a
Cherry Lawn
unanimous
next. We've been
decision on
discussing it
McGuan.
since January-ish, and meeting, sometimes once a month, sometimes twice a month, just depends also on just kind of the schedules and what's going on. But has anyone heard about Cherry Lawn and what's going on and how where we're at right now? Or is everyone just kind of like, no clue? Okay, so as Adele had said, they're having a special meeting on Wednesday, which just got announced yesterday. What's today? I don't know what today is, Tuesday, yesterday. I think it was announced late yesterday. Okay. And they are voting. The group is not we're just not at a consensus really as a group. We are very, very much in like either really for it or really against it. And so Patty and I are not for it for various reasons. And Alyssa also is not. She is not here and she is also not for it. And so we really hope that the commission votes against it. There's a meeting that Adele and Patty went to. It was the last one, right? Or did I miss a commission meeting between that one? Did I miss one? That was the last one, right?
That was the last one.
Okay,
That was
okay,
their November meeting.
So again, I'm sure everyone here doesn't have all the time in the world, but it does show the presentation that Susan, our working group chair, is puts on to the rest of the commission. You can also watch our meetings, and even if you just watch probably the last 2, you'll probably get a much better sense of what's happening and why we feel the way that some of us feel, and what it looks like. If you haven't seen what this design looks like, I highly recommend you do. You might love it. You might love it and be like, I don't understand what the problem is, and that's totally fine. Obviously, Patty and I are District 1. I don't know what district Alyssa is.
5.
She's 5? Okay, good. Everyone here obviously also represents different districts. I don't know if anyone's gotten anything from their constituents, but, time is kind of running out, and it's going to be there for a really long time, and it's one of those things that a lot happens in this town, right? And again, unless if you're really involved, it's hard to know why things happened or how that decision was made or where this came into. And this one, I think, impacts a lot of this town. It's a young town. A lot of people have moved here recently in the last 3 years with the pandemic. And I think people are going to be really surprised if this goes through. I think they're going to be really surprised and wonder what happened and why. And that's what Patty especially, has just been so great about just trying to get this done well. I think that is the just well, not right,
Liability
well,
situation.
and thoughtful.
Yeah.
And so I really, if you have the time, I know today's Tuesday and the meeting's tomorrow, but get to know it. I don't know if they can reach out to the committee through you to the committee, but
Sure, you can come through me.
It's
When
just
you said, we're really hoping they vote
against it.
Who's we when you say that? It sounds like
The
everybody's on a
working
different
group, the people
position.
on the working group who don't like it.
How many people
Of which you are
I
one.
am,
were
I'm
five.
very much against
Yes.
it.
Who's for and who's against, or
We
is that a
won't know
private
one
thing?
because they're
So
not,
many
they're not
people are on-
RTM.
It's
just the
five.
How
one
many
group.
people are on the working group, and what's the vote?
Cheryl, it's 5
Okay.
that did not support the present design, 5 out of 9. And just to be
5 out of
clear,
9,
the
okay.
group, we're close on so many items.
Yeah.
But we're just like, let's just give us more time, it's 28 feet tall. Do you know how tall a 3-story building is?
And also the
It's
public,
30
and not that the
feet.
public always needs to have, because again, you get a lot of opinions, right? That's, you could be talking all the time about things and decisions
going
would
off
probably
that,
never
and
get
you're
made. But this one does really, more than probably pickleball
This is a
courts,
hazard.
probably impacts the town. Like,
Yeah.
it just does. And so it's a shame, unfortunately, that it's just not being known what is happening, unfortunately. And that this is happening. It's not like we're putting up signs saying, don't worry, a new playground's coming, and we're working on it. Like, it's just gonna happen. And people are gonna be like, what?
And I think the one
Where's
other thing that
Pam
I'd
on
like
this
to,
thing?
just to be clear on is
In
that,
favor,
She's in favor of
the
this?
town, yes, the
And when a kid falls off the top at 28 feet,
they can't get to the 28 feet, but that's, if you want to know more about
if they
it,
can get
If
to
you wanna know more
15.
about it, there are
if you want to know more about it,
lots of things.
watch the
Watch
playgrounds.
videos.
The last one, I'd say. Yes, with the more pictures on that.
yeah, again, people,
That's-
actually, it's been a great group. Like, we worked well, we were unanimous on the McGuan, went through smoothly, very terrific. But with this one, the real questions, without going into many details, it's just the scale of it is so much bigger than the existing footprint there. And so there's a playground, it debuted this new design up in Fred Wolf Park up in Orange, Connecticut. Well, up there, they had taken down hundreds of trees to be able to put this playground in, and there's so much more space there. So it's just scale-wise in that small footprint, kind of in Cherry Lawn. And so it's scale, there's been kind of a philosophical debate on targeting who the core users are. And so playground manufacturers rate things, I'm sorry to turn my
That's
head,
okay.
as 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 for what they consider, appropriate in safety. But, after watching, interviewing, talking to parents, nannies, kids, constantly there over many, many, many months, what we found is the core age is really 18 months to 3 on the toddler end, and then it's 3 to about 7 or 8 on the bigger kids area. And it's really clear if you're there. Like, we're there, many of us are there every day at different times watching. And so there are 2 people in particular who feel strongly about reaching kind of the older audience, the 10 to 12-year-olds, and kind of like bringing teenagers back to the playground. And so it just, in our town, there was a lot of debate within the committee. And again, we worked really well together. And so many of the items on the lower part of this structure, it's called the Extreme X-Gen playground. So many of the lower items, everybody was in complete agreement with, or with the exception of one, let's tweak this and try that. But to have these very tall, kind of industrial, somebody today described them as silos, like grain silos, or somebody else describes them as prison things. I'm like, I'm not using those words, I'm just, they are. But it just feels, there was a large part of our group who felt like the upper part was just so unnecessary and concerning, because there are so many little kids that use it. And so in order to do that, you really are going to be, the caregiver, the mother, the grandmother is going to be climbing up those things. And so I will just say
Okay, hang on a minute now.
Yeah.
Let's just be fair here. There's no kids at 28 feet. The kids are
Okay.
at 14,
no,
okay?
at the top,
If
not
that's
like
the
he's
top,
gonna
we're
climb.
talking
Can
about
anyone,
the superstructure.
can anyone reach the top?
No.
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 So it
They
doesn't
can
even
climb,
need
I
to
mean, a
be there.
teenager can climb on the outside. Any teenager can do anything, but that's what we hope they would not do,
Yeah.
right? But that is,
So
again, this thing
so
just to
it's
be-
safe, but it's,
Well,
can I ask-
it depends,
But just to.
but the size
Yes.
is an issue.
The size is an issue, the scale is an
the
issue,
scale's
and
an
it's
issue.
not, you also have to, like, we all, the five of us, actually, 6 people did go up and get on it, because I'd said, I'm never going to vote on something anymore like this unless I've looked at it, climbed on it, tried everything, because we're talking about our most precious humans, the little ones. And so.
And it's not a small thing to have to go up to Orange.
No,
Well,
it
and
isn't.
a large group of
It's
us
not-
did
You
it.
can
Not
imagine,
in
it's not around the
Connecticut.
corner, so
Yeah,
they
and so-
really did
but
their
I
due
do think it's
diligence.
important to
And I
point
don't
out
think,
that
and this is
even
not
though.
a dig, because I appreciate our commission, I don't know if anyone other than Chris, I think, went to Orange. And someone, and she did she go too?
I thought Jim did
Who?
too.
Did you
Jim
say-
might have also, but
Jim, okay, yeah, so the commission,
Well, they didn't say that at the meeting, at the Parks and
maybe
Rec
they went
Commission.
since, did they
Yeah.
go before?
Yeah, no, he
They
did.
did. Oh, did they? Okay.
I know Chris had. 'cause
Okay,
he
yeah,
said
no,
we
Chris
went.
definitely
Right, that
did.
was the only one I
So,
have seen this in person.
Anyways, we don't have to go into all the details. You're welcome
exactly.
to watch meetings. I do think it's important, as we said, they still have to climb up the ladder, right? So they're ladders, metal, inside, they still have to climb up. When I did it, I had to use, 2 hands to do it, so there is still, but we just, anyway, I think our committee just kept saying, just give us more time. Give us more time. We're really close on so many of these things. But I would say, so it was scale, as Sarah said. It was kind of targeting the core users, which is really, a 5-year-old. And just to be clear, that starting September 1st, the cutoff date is now 5 to go to kindergarten. And so as a result, those kindergartens will be going to their preschool in the morning, and then so many more will be coming to our playgrounds. So a 5-year-old plays very differently than somebody in 7th grade, who's 12 years old. So I think a lot of us working on it felt like, well, let's really target it. Let's try and build something that fits the main users. So scale, target, use it, aesthetics.
And I would say the aesthetics,
And
there's
fitting
definitely a
it
debate
to-
between, are we?
Yeah, safety.
Are
Traditional
we trying
or-
to target the children, right? Like, are we trying to make it exciting and fun for the kids? Or are we also trying to take into account the other users, the people who are walking their dogs, the people who are playing tennis, the people who are not there just for this playground? Because it's not just a playground. It's it's part of the park, right? So I think those are probably the 3 things that we just kind of all.
How tall is the building, is that structure that's there now, over where the bumpy little slide is? How tall is that?
The peak right there is 18 feet.
And then
Okay,
there's
but
the
that's the peak,
platform.
and then there's 2 platforms. I can give you all, I've measured every playground in town as part of my due diligence.
Okay, so my other
Okay, guys, okay,
Yeah.
all right. We're not going to solve this problem. They're explaining to you
Right,
what's
but I'm
going on
just trying
here.
to visualize why they're considering something so tall, because this
I
could
think
be.
that's the way, from what they've said, I think that's the way playgrounds have
Is this
have
similar,
evolved
is
to
it
have
similar
some-
to, because I was at McGuan
It's just this
today.
one.
Is it similar to this big tall piece that's in McGuan? Is that similar?
Do you remember
Looks
how
similar
tall
to-
McGuan is?
How tall is the one in
It's just
McGuan?
passed it down.
McGuan is
So,
short.
I think it's the
we
same
can move
difference.
on.
really
I
simple
think so
question
too.
as
I
part
think
of
it's the
this.
same difference, yes. I think it's about the same.
I just have a very
Same
simple
as the new
question.
one?
Is it all or nothing? Or if you've agreed on a lot of the elements on the lower part,
The main unit that we disagree on is all or nothing.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
just vote for part of the playground
Right.
that we like the 2 to 5, we all pretty much agree on. It is, yeah, it's all or nothing.
because it's all one contract or?
Because we need to sign the contract
It's not a custom
And
thing.
just, yeah, just to be clear on that one note, it was because there was going to be incentive if we signed it by December 1st, and so we were getting pushed for that. But it didn't get signed by December 1st, so clearly, if a lot of times the vendors want their business, they'll still extend that. So that's why we're like, just give us a little more time, really. We feel like we're very close on it, and what could we do? Oxbridge has a lot of very unique things on their brand-new playground that Kip Coons did a tremendous job on as the chair of the building committee there, coming in on time and under budget. And they were able to do a lot of great things with an entire pour and play surface and the ELP program, playground up there for a pretty efficient price as well.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, I just have just a few general statements. So I appreciate all the time you guys have spent on this. I have not, but I started to pay attention to the meetings, and I had a lot of the same thoughts. Oh my gosh, it seems so tall, it seems so big. So I was listening to the professionals of what a playground looks like today versus what it looked like even 10 years ago, and it is very, very different. So I was applauding the fact that the committee was looking for the future, because what we put in today hopefully will last for a while. So I was hoping that we would the committee would follow the recommendations of not only Pam, but also the playground company. And I thought, well, what 10 or 11-year-old is going to go to the playground? The industry is trying to get older children to go back to the playground. We have a lot of children in this town that have a lot of downtime, and the goal is to get them physically active, let's say at a playground versus sports. So my only point is that, is it perfect? Probably not. There's a lot of activity at Cherry Lawn, but again, we're not the professionals. We have our opinions, that's fine, but I just hope that the commission listens to the professionals and what they're thinking. And what I was told as far as the let's go, it's the order has to be placed by the end of December, not the beginning of December.
Well, we were always told the entire time it was December 1st. Susan, just to be clear, Alyssa's not on here, but 3 playground working group people are on there. We were always told it's December 1st. You can listen to all those meetings. But again, semantics.
Okay, so also it sounded like the committee was all in sync until just recently,
No, that's not the case.
Well, that's what I was told. I watched some of the meetings.
Right.
It certainly didn't get portrayed that way,
Well,
so
well,
I
we
think it
can
came as a surprise.
Send you timestamps of the meeting.
Patty,
but-
can I finish talking?
Sure.
Thank you. So I'm just saying from a different perspective. Again, I have not been in the weeds like you guys have, and I thank you for doing that. But I think you're right. Do people know what's going on? Probably not. I heard someone on the committee say, kids are going to be so thankful for anything new. So it is a big change, but I think when we first built the playground at the beach, people were like, oh my gosh, look at this, it's such a change. But now everybody loves it. When we first bought Highland Farms, oh my God, we can't buy it because it's going to be this. People use that all the time. So I think people are hesitant for any kind of change. And I think we listen to the people that are in the industry and go with what their recommendations are also. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, so I'm gonna, we can stop here. That's the playground update. And there's Baker to be designed too behind the Cherry Lawn. And there's the invasives, Patty. Have you all met the invasive committee?
We did a tour. I did another.
Well, we did on the fall, the parks tour, we looked at.
No, we did a dedicated invasive tour.
You did a dedicated invasive tour,
For like
okay.
3 hours that we walked with Lori Bora and Pam, myself, Mary Louise Morgan, Laura Mosier, and somebody else, and we went to different spots, and we went to Baker, and we looked and identified an area at Baker, we identified some areas at McGuan. Cherry Lawn, you've seen there's been a lot of removal of invasives, which has been great. 1 or 2 people are giving like feedback about, whoa, that was a little bit too far. We heard that a little bit when we were on there on that tour, like how deep are you going to go? But things will grow back, and I think the main thing is the goal is to plant natives along there, you know, do some grass, but to plant natives and stuff like that. And it's just going to be fantastic and beautiful, and we have a good space. And then obviously, you know, Weed Beach, you know, depending on what happens there, there's, you know, they've
already done a
work
lot.
there.
They've absolutely done
Yeah.
a lot. It's amazing the difference.
Yep. So, the one
It's
last
great.
thing is that, that Laura Mosier went to the Darien Land Trust meeting Sunday a week ago after Thanksgiving, and there was a presentation, and it was excellent, and she would like to have them come and speak at the Parks and Rec Commission meeting. So, it's the update, tied to invasives. That's it.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay. Like I said, we need some volunteers. So I'll put it in writing for following these different committees and commissions. And you can get back to me and volunteer.
I'm going to give one update.
Sure. Oh, right. Sorry. Is you guys want to give an update?
You want me to go
Yes, you
first
go
after
first.
you just asked? Oh, nice. Just that, and I don't really have a lot of details, but Wreaths Across America is on December 16th at noon at Spring Grove Cemetery. That's it. Go ahead.
Coastal Waters and the Harbor Master. So they have been very busy trying to come up with new language for some of the ordinances. The goal is to give the Harbor Master, or one of the goals is to give the Harbor Master a little bit more clarity as far as what he can and can't do. The original goal was to have a lot of this written and go through the whole process of the commission or the harbor master would then go to the Board of Selectmen and then go through the whole process. It may or may not get done before next year's boating season. It's taken a lot longer because it's kind of like Parks and Rec going through their rules and regulations. It's tedious work, so they're working through a lot of the verbiage of it, so I will keep you posted. But at this point, they're not ready to go to the Board of Selectmen yet for any of the changes. So they've been meeting, their meetings are a couple of hours long, so it's just taking a little bit longer than I think that they had originally thought it would, so.
What are some of the issues?
Well, there's a few different things. I won't get into the specifics right now because they're still changing things and working on things, so before I say anything that may or may not change, I think it would be better to.
What's the most controversial one?
I don't know if anything's controversial. It's just a matter of how much detail gets put into some of this. Should it be vague? Should it be more specific? You know, it's been ongoing for many, many years, and you know, that's really one of the biggest things. So, you know, people want more moorings. There can be moorings put out much further out into the water. It's not as protective, so not everybody wants it. We do have the town has a waiting list for moorings, but it's a little deceiving because it depends if you're looking to put a 17-foot little whaler versus a 40-foot sailboat that has a different swing, a different depth. There's different depths in the harbor, so it gets very involved. So even the waiting list is very deceiving because it doesn't have the specifics of a mooring might come up, but it might fit your boat, but you might be beforehand. So it's not really it's not as 1, 2, 3 divisive. Some boats have a different swing to them, power boats versus sailboats versus some sailboats have a deeper keel, so it gets a little bit more involved. So that's why I
Do you know
don't.
how many moorings there are in the harbor?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can find out. I want to say 200 and something, but I could be way off.
It's a lot.
I could be way off, so I don't know.
It was around 200 and something.
That sounds
years
kind of,
ago.
yeah. So that's why, to start, it's kind of like when you open it up, there's a lot of different layers to it.
That was insightful. That was helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody, let me see, anybody have any other business? Anything you want? Okay, we're good? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to adjourn. We will have a motion. We will see you in January. Oh, I think this Saturday is the Tilly Pond Christmas. It's from 2 to 5. Old-fashioned holiday at Tilly Pond Park. which is really nice if you want to go. 2 to 5. Make a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, Cheryl and Bill. Here we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody, for being flexible.
Thank you.